Hey guys, Doug, G-Music Reviews, here with another review. This time one that I was almost challenged to by that bastard that everybody seems to love, Cover Killer Nation. If you don't know him, check him out, fabulous reviewer. I'm going to link him below, link his review below, because it definitely deserves attention. It was a very good review. I'm just going to give my 2 cents on the album, and the album in question is Elysium by the rather famous power metal band Stratovarius. If you don't know Stratovarius, some of you, in fact most of you probably won't know them that well, but you've probably heard of them before. They're quite a staple in the power metal fans' musical diet, shall we say. But if you don't really know them at all, they're a Finnish power metal group, or melodic power metal, whatever. They were formed back in 1984. They were basically one of the main bands, along with, you know, Halloween, Gamma Ray, Blind Guardian, and other bands like that actually really popularized and sort of created what power metal is. There really wasn't pretty much any power metal before these guys. Not just Stratovarius, but all the bands in question, basically. So they're seen as a good forefather, a creator of this wonderful, magical genre that is power metal, my favorite genre. Yes! Anyway, I'm going to stop speaking about power metal. Actually, no, I'm not. We're getting right into review. I'm going to stop, like, putting on my cum face for it, because I just love power metal. Anyway. They've been around since 1984, so they've been around for quite a long time. And Elysium is... what is it? I think it's like their 11th release or something. I'm not sure. I'm not too big on Stratovarius. When I was getting into power metal, I was always recommended to check out some bands being Halloween, Blind Guardian, Iced Earth, and Stratovarius are one that also came up. But I never really liked any of the stuff that I got, and all I really got from them were Visions, Elements Part 1 and Elements Part 2. They never really hit it off with me. I've checked out some of their other work and it's just never really interested me before. So I was pretty dodgy going into this album. The album is 9 tracks, with a total playing time of 56 minutes and 35 seconds. And a big thing on this album is actually the end track, which is 18 minutes and 7 seconds, something like that, along those lines. Basically it's 18 minutes, so it's quite large. Anyway, so I got into this album because of Cover Killer, otherwise I probably wouldn't have touched it. And I'm actually quite glad I did, because this album really isn't bad at all. You start with track 1, Darkest Hours, which is a really good start in my opinion. You've got powerful vocals. Timo, I can't pronounce his name, Kotopello, I think that's his name. He's never been my favourite vocalist. I think his voice just sounds really kind of weird. And I suppose it's just quite a different voice from pretty much anything else you'll find in power metal. But I've never been the biggest fan of his voice. It's tolerable, it's good, but it's definitely not the best power metal vocalist ever. But generally, the opening song has everything. It's got keyboards, it's got vocals, it's got guitars, it's got bass, it's got drums. It's got it all, and it's all going really well together. Darkest Hours is still one of my favourite songs on this album. And you know, it's just a fantastic opener, and it really gives a good impression and a good view of how this album will be. As you get into the album, I don't know, it's quite weird because it seemed like you couldn't really tell that time was going. And the weird thing with me, I don't know if it wasn't because I wasn't paying enough attention, but then I really wasn't doing anything else at the time, but I could never really tell when there were changes in songs, when one song would stop and when one would go into the next. And that's really one of the problems that I have with this album, and one of the problems I've had with pretty much all of Stratovarius' albums, is that it's mainly because of the keyboards, I think. You can't really distinguish one song from the other, because the opening and the ending to all these songs pretty much have keyboard work in them, and they're all similar sounding keyboard work. Although if you really did pay super attention to it, you could probably tell the differences and note the different changes and everything, but quite frankly I just haven't done that. Hold on, I've got to mute my computer, there we go. But when I was actually really paying attention and I was listening, I was liking what I was hearing. One of the main things I have to point out about this album that's really good is the guitar work from Matthias somebody, I can't pronounce his name, Kupiainen, something like that. I can't pronounce Finnish names because I'm a Scottish bastard. But the guitar work on this is absolutely fantastic, and the guitar work is something I've always appreciated from Stratovarius, and it's absolutely fantastic guitars on this album as well. They really know how to put in some good, memorable riffs, ones that you'll just be sitting there, just nodding your head to. Really good guitar riffs, really good guitar lines that work really well with the music and the vocals and all the other instruments going at the same time. They really made some great melodies with that. The guitarists have always been good, and it's something I've really respected. The drumming doesn't really stand out, it's basically subpar. It's good enough for what it's doing, and I suppose they're happy with that. I mean, you know, there were no big drum solos, there was no big standout bits, it was basically just something to fill in the background, which kind of bothers me, but not really, it doesn't really mind. Speaking of the keyboards, like I was earlier, the keyboard work in this is actually fine. You've got some great keyboard work. When you can really note a couple of large keyboard solos, they sound really quite well. I think the keyboards are one of the most, what would you say, most important things for Stratovarius, because they use the keyboards and the sounds that they can produce really highly in all of their work, and this album is absolutely no different whatsoever. There is a lot of keyboard work going on here. But basically, from what I could hear from this album, it all sounded pretty good. It's not something I would necessarily listen to non-stop or repeat it over and over again like I do for certain bands like Blind Guardian, Agalok, bands like that. But it's something I would come back to maybe every few weeks or every couple of months and maybe listen to it again. Elysium itself, the weird thing was, Andrew, or Quadruple Play, sorry, who most of you will probably know, he actually cannot stand this song, and I really don't see why, because I actually really like this song. The vocals in it are fine, all the work is fine, and one of the main things about this song that I love is that for a lot of songs that are 18 minutes long or just long songs, you can really sort of hear and feel like they're really being stretched out just so they can be longer and they're not really going anywhere. And I find that with so many songs. For instance, a band that everybody knows I love, 7 Days, on their latest work they had a 20-minute song almost, and it was so stretched out, it was unbelievable. But for this, you really, I don't know, they kept it going really well. They kept on adding new stuff into the song, which kept you interested into the song. And so this 18-minute song, for me, has been actually, it's one of my favourite tracks on the album alongside Darkest Hours. I really like Elysium. I think it's a fantastic song. They keep on adding stuff to the song as it goes along. It's no repeated riff or anything like that, or repeated keyboard. What do you call it? I can't remember what it's called. But you know, they basically just continue constructing the song as it goes along, and it's something that really works. What was I about to say? Oh! I had something really big I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it was. So I'm just going to move on. But basically, you know, this album, I'm going to have to really listen to it a bit more so I can distinguish the separate songs and work out what songs I really like. Because so far I can only distinguish Darkest Hours and Elysium as being two of my favourites. I'm sure there'll be other ones in there, but we'll have to see. Generally, the album, I think some people will enjoy, but quite a lot won't. If you're not a fan of power metal or progressive metal, then this definitely will not work with you, because they do have a lot of progressive elements in here. I think that's always been present in Stratovarius' work, but they've really added a lot more into this. It's pretty progressive for the entire album. But it's actually really good work. I've really been impressed by it. It's probably the only album from Stratovarius I've ever actually liked whatsoever. So I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on it. I'll definitely be listening to it over again just to try and work out the separate tracks and what I like. I recommend you get it and check it out. You might like it, you might not. It really depends. A lot of people I don't think will be too impressed by the vocals, because even though I'm a power metal fan, the vocals don't work for me. But who knows? Separate tastes come with separate people. But anyway, yeah, check out the album if you want. I don't think it will be really high up on anybody's chain, but it'll definitely be in the sort of the good section. So I recommend people check it out, basically, yeah. Can't really go wrong with it. It definitely wouldn't be a bad thing anyway. Anyway, I've stretched this review long enough. This is over 10 minutes now. So thank you for watching the review. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to hear me review something, just send me a message saying what it is, and I'll get around to it as soon as I can. So thanks very much, guys.